What's going on? What's going on? What's going on? Family, what's going on? Hey, come on in here, family. Hey, thank you for chilling with Teddy Ray on the Block 105 FM as well as SoCal Radio. Hey, listen, I missed you guys, man. And listen, man, I got a good one tonight, man. This is much anticipated, man. I will say that. I will say that it was much anticipated to get this guest on. Before I get the guests on here, I see the guests here on here now. So let me go ahead and get her on here. 1 second here, family. 1 second here, family. I see the guest here is ready. So let me go ahead and get the guests on here. Come on in here, family. Are you on?
Hello, how are
What's
you?
going on? What's going on? What's going on,
How are
family?
you?
What's going on? Hey, first of all, like I said, I'm so excited about tonight, man. This was I've been waiting on this one, man. I've been waiting on this one because, like I said before, I built this platform to give people their flowers, to let them know that they inspire me in so many ways. And I say this to all the female groups, but I definitely want to say it to you tonight because of, your journey, man. And I say
Yeah,
this all the time. You don't have to be a man to inspire, man, if that makes sense to you.
yeah, for sure.
So let me go ahead and give you a formal introduction here. 1 second here, family. Give me a second here. Let me give you a formal introduction. Family, my guest tonight is from Los Angeles, California. She is a daughter, sister, and mother of 4 boys. She also works in the healthcare field, and she believes in being a blessing to others is a blessing in itself. Family, I introduce to you tonight, Miss Raquel. How you doing today?
I am doing so good. I'm happy to be here, and hopefully, what I have to say tonight answers some people questions and help some people along their journeys.
Man, listen, first of all, let's just start off with this one, man. Did you ever pray for a girl?
I did. I wanted a girl, but I'm gonna tell you, God knows best because He did not give me no girl every single time.
You know what? First of all, like I said, my hat is tips off to you, man.
Thank you.
We do this all the time about, women can't raise boys, and you pretty much solidify that that is not true. Women can raise boys, but there is a certain limit where you can only go. But
Right.
you can most definitely raise boys. Talk about this journey of raising boys.
Well, I can tell you one thing. You definitely need a backbone. You have to have structure in your home because boys will try you. They grow older and they experience things that you don't know nothing about. So you have to know, when to ask other people for help and get insight from the right people, though. So, sometimes your boys will try you because they get bigger than you, but you still got to stand your ground as a mom. But my thing was talking to my boys. I like talk
Mm.
to them and not baby them. Like I gave them information that they would need when they grow up. So instead of talking to them like, oh, you can't do this and just telling them no, you have to give them the option of understanding why you telling them no. Don't just tell them like you putting structure down and you just bossing them around. You got to why you do that you do, and you can be transparent with them and let them know I'm doing this by myself, so I need you to work with me so that we can have a great life. It's not
Right.
just on you, but you got
Right.
to talk to them.
Yeah. You know what? I want to ask this question to you. You know, um, how do you balance, work and parenting at the same
um
time?
Balancing is, I'm still learning that, like every different child trial, tribulation, all of those things are different. So it's pretty much you learn it as you go. But for the most part, you just don't think about it. You just know you have to handle these things and you prioritize the things that you have to do that's most important. Sometimes you got to tell your kids no. Sometimes they got to wait and learn patience. You know, it's only one of me and four of them, so they need different things. So sometimes you have to tell them, like, hold on, it's your brother's turn. I'll get back to you. Just wait. You know, it's a lot and it's not easy to do it because you will miss things because you by yourself, but you got to pray. You got to pray and ask for that strength.
Yeah, yeah. And you know what? While we're talking about praying, how important is your personal prayer life?
My personal prayer life, honestly, when I was younger, I became a mom at 21. And
Oh,
so before I didn't understand, that I needed to be the leader of my family in a spiritual way. So I was just living in the flesh, just doing, basic parenting. Like I'm going to clean up, cook, go to work, finances is okay, buy the kids stuff. But it comes a point in your life where you see everybody going, all the older
mm,
people in your life. So that was a real eye opener for me because I lost a lot of my family when I was young. And so I had to become that praying mom. So my older kids will tell you, like, I never seen you pray like you pray now, like they were with me in my 20s. And now I have the other kids growing up with me in my 40s. So 20 years later, it's a different perspective that I see, so it wasn't important like that at first. But life will teach you that you need God to depend on in this world, to do the things that you do every day because your strength is not his strength. And if you doing it by yourself in the flesh, it's not gonna work. That I just told my sister that like a month ago. I said, that's why I feel so wore out because I've been living in the flesh and not building my spiritual walk up. So
yes.
that's why I feel cooked and wore out, but you gotta let him feed you in the right way.
Yeah, you know what? And shout out to my bro, man, your brother-in-law, my bro,
Yeah.
Minister Anthony Smith, man. We were talking about an episode we had on his show of dying to self and how important that is.
Oh yeah, that
Um,
was wonderful.
and, have there been times in your life where you had to die to self and it wasn't for you, it was for the other person?
Yeah. A lot of times, I was a hothead when I was younger and I would just pop off, but as you get older, you learn that everything don't need a response, so sometimes you be wanting to snatch somebody,
Come
but
on,
you be
man.
like, the God in me, I'm just gonna be cool, I'm gonna relax and handle it in a different way.
Man, listen. Um, dealing with, being a mom and a single mom, and a working mom.
Hmm.
Um, I saw some on your page that, man, it hit home on so many levels for young women to gravitate to. And you were saying something about, loving your kids before more than you love your spouse.
Yes.
You were talking about that, and man, listen, if I could be transparent, it's a lot of that going on where a lot of, men and women, I'm not going to be bashing the women only, but men and women, love, their boyfriend and girlfriends more than they love, or they'll give more attention
Hmm.
to more of, their boyfriend or girlfriend. And the way that the society of our youth is right now, man, how important is it for us to pay more attention to, I guess you can say in so many words, put yourself on the back burner for your
Yeah.
kids' development. Man, how important is that? I know, you being a woman, you say to yourself, you have moments where you say, man, I want a social life. I want to, be
Hmm.
able to go out there and find a good man and whatnot. But how important to you is it that you want to make sure that you raise kings first?
First and foremost, I'm gonna take it back to my mom because when I had my first son, I remember I would be telling her, like, I would be telling my son, like, go to grandma, and she would be like, no, go to mom, and I didn't really understand that then. I just was mad, like, oh, you ain't gonna watch the baby, I can't go chill with the friends and stuff like that. But I get it now. She was structuring me to actually be his mom, you know, and not just be somebody that dropped their kid off on everybody
Yeah,
else. So
yeah,
I said
yeah.
that to say that it made me grow up in a way that I knew I had to put those priorities first. And so back to your question, is pretty much like you have these little people that you bring here, you know, and they come here naked. They don't know nothing about nothing. Everything I've always thought raising my kids, like when you don't teach them the things that they need, the fundamentals of life, how to treat other people, how to be a good friend, you're giving other people in this world the opportunity to give them a vision that probably ain't even meant for them, you know? So I teach my kids to use their own brain and think for themselves, listen to what peer is telling you. Go find the answer for yourself and make sure you know. Because it's people out here that talk to you and tell you stuff and it sounds real good, but it's really not, you know? So I just, when you a mom or a dad, if you are raising kids, you have to put yourself on the back burner because it takes more than finances to raise a kid. It takes more than just buying
Mhm.
them some new
Yeah.
shoes and, you know, feeding them and putting lunch in their bags and stuff like that. But what are their thought process like? Do they know common sense questions? Can they think for themselves? Can they read right? Can they are they on
Mhm.
the right level
Mhm.
in class? These are the things that overtake a relationship that you have with a man. These are things that need to be done every day. You know, like you have to check the backpacks because these kids are getting into more things these days. So it's kind of like you got to move with time. It's like the teachers now we have are not teaching our kids the way we learned, you know? So
Yeah,
we
yeah,
have to be more than just sending our kids to school in nice clothes. We have to check those backpacks. We have to make sure they doing homework and they on point with kids and stuff like that. You have to put yourself out there and know like this is what I have to do and don't know relationship need to come before that because it's a lot of kids out here that have depression, they have PTSD and all these
yeah,
toxic traits
yeah,
because of their
yeah,
parents.
yeah, 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 yeah. You're right on that. I was gonna ask that question too. Do you think now more than ever is a time for you know, I was saying like these parents that are separated, man. I believe now co-parenting is very important right now. You know,
Yeah,
whether you guys work out or not, co-parenting is important.
yeah,
You know, I've said this before. If you're grown enough to make a baby, you're grown enough to raise a baby together.
yes,
So,
absolutely.
but I had a question for you as well. You were talking about the schooling, man, and I saw some of your posts, and you were talking about, you got some parents out here that are sending these kids out to let the teachers be responsible for raising them. You
Yes,
know, teaching them manners and teaching them so forth, and have to give the teachers the headache, of getting hit across the head, being disrespectful, because they're not going to do that to the mother or the father at home, because the
right.
mother and father is just sending them on to school, like you said, in brand new clothes, let's be real. There's some parents out here that just trying to buy their kids love.
Exactly.
Instead of giving it to them.
Yeah.
So I mean, how devastating is it that you're seeing, a lot of these schools, man, and I got a good friend of mine on right now. She's actually doing homeschooling with her kid because she felt
Okay.
that the school now are not giving a lot of kids attention.
Right.
It's overcrowded, or the kids teachers just don't care, because I know you heard of the program of No Kids Left Behind, where
Right.
they just send these kids off to the next grade. They can't read, spell, write, count. They can't do none of
Exactly.
that. But we're just graduating them to the society so they
Hmm.
can be a failure. So
Yeah.
how important is it for all of our parents to be hands on right now?
I think it's absolutely extremely important for parents to get involved because I'm gonna tell you a situation that I had. My kids recently went to junior high, you know, sixth grade. And before, like I have a set of twins and one of them are
Mm.
stronger in math than the other. So I got him tutoring. I did all the things that a parent should do. And I went even to his school to talk to the teacher and sit in the class to see maybe is it my kid, you know, that's not doing
Right.
what he's supposed to do. I go in there and this teacher is like really teaching them a problem and the whole problem was And so I'm sitting there as a parent, like, what is going on in this classroom? Because if you teach these kids like this all year round, it's crazy. But that's one thing I just wanted to point out. The behavior of these 11-year-olds was just over the top. Like, I wanted to take the
Mm.
teacher roster and call all those parents myself because it was so much disruptions, it was so much disrespect. And these are 11-year olds. So I'm saying this to say parents have to be involved and know what your kids are doing. You know what this lady told me? My son, even he was one of the kids that didn't have problems, but he started having problems because all the other kids were doing the stuff that they were doing. So he's like, well, why I got to do the right thing, you know? So I can understand why he made that decision. But at the same time, I had to talk to him about setting himself apart. But I talked to the principal, I talked to the teacher, I did everything that I was supposed to do. And the principal was like, I don't even know why they called you in for a meeting because I never had any problems with your kids. So that was a wake up call that I had to do to get everybody involved because no one was on the same page. And if I, as a parent, dropped the ball, I would have never known A, what was going on in that class, B, that all those kids could not do what they were supposed to do. But I'm getting my kid tutoring and I'm still wondering why he's not getting the work, you know? I'm paying for tutoring on the side. I'm working with him, his brother working with him. What's happening at this school? So I said that to say, parents, if you know that you have kids with behavior issues, disabilities, you need to get involved and get the necessary steps taken to get that cleared up because all of these teachers are really ready to quit because they have to be moms and dads, deal with emotions, deal with anger, deal with disrespect. These little kids are cursing and talking about relationships and different stuff even need to know. It's like the parents is like, oh, I can't come up there because I can't work. That makes no sense. Like, you're the parent, you have to deal with the issues that your kid have and don't be just passing them on to other people to deal with.
I got a question for you. I'm listening to you. It seems like you put in the work. Um, when you go to these, I guess you can call them open house nights.
Mm-hmm.
How many parents do you actually see in there?
Um, Honestly, not enough. Not enough. I went to check my kids into these programs that were at school to try to get them into magnet schools for junior high. And just the amount of parents that was there, like, you just gonna let your kids roll over to this public school that is terrible. Like, the parents don't get involved, and it can't be that we always blame work. We
Yeah,
can't always say, I work, I can't do it. I work. You got to realize what you really saying. I'm working, and that's more important than seeing about what my kid really needs and where they really are, because every kid ain't gonna get what they need at school because they got a good teacher. You know, it's the teacher just can't do what they used to do. These kids are way out of control, and the parents have to get involved because if the teachers is yelling at your kid, you're mad and ready to jump over the counter. But your kid is calling her stupid and being disrespectful. What is she supposed to do?
yeah, 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 yeah. No, yeah, you're right. Do you? I asked this question before. I asked a question, but I made a statement of it before. I feel I've said that now it seems like the parents have curfews and the kids don't, if that makes sense. You know,
Yeah.
the kids are all out, 11, 12, midnight, 1, 2, and the kid and the parents are asleep, dead sleep, if I may say.
Hmm.
And I feel it's terrible. But do you feel that some of these parents are afraid of their kids?
Of course, I do. And it's because when your kid is young and you don't structure them from the start, they grow
Mm.
up with certain habits. And if you don't correct those habits, they grow into big people with those same habits and they more extreme, you know? So if you have a son that you allow to talk to you a certain way his whole entire childhood, and some parents, they allow their kids to say what when they call their name. I'm not doing that with my kids in my house. Like, you're never going to say that to me. But some parents allow that. And so you want to, and let me just put it like this: you can't play with the structure of your kids. And I learned this when I was young, when I used to smoke and drink, and everything was fun, and you didn't pay attention to being a real parent, so you confuse your kids. Like, okay, on a regular day you ain't drinking or smoking, you putting structure down. But now that your friends is over and you having a little wine and you smoking your little stuff, you letting the kids do whatever, and they know when to play with you, so you can't play with them like that. Like, it's had to be this way in the house, and that's it. I'm not bending no rules. Like, this is what we're gonna do. Like, for me, a lot of parents today, they have the issue of giving their kids games and toys and electronics and stuff like that, and just so that they can do what they want to do. Well,
Yeah.
me, I want my kids to be successful, so I took their tablets. They only can play with them on the weekend, and that's only if you deserve to play with them, because they need structure. And it don't mean you got to beat your kid every day, or you got to yell and scream and mess up their self-esteem, but you do have to have rules in your house, because if they don't follow your rules, they ain't gonna follow no rules on the other side of that door. And you need to have, I care more about respect than I do my kids having nice shoes. They gonna have nice shoes, but they gonna work and earn that stuff.
Come on
You
now.
don't just get it.
Come on now. Yeah. Yeah. And you know what you were talking about, and I'm bringing this up because I too used to smoke and drink, man. And I gave my testimony about that. Um, what required and inspired you to just say, I can't?
Well, I never really was a drinker because my mom prayed, was an alcoholic, so I really didn't have that. But um smoking weed was just something I picked up with my friends, and I just told my sister about this a while ago. Like, we create these habits in our life, and if you go all the way back to why you started, you sit there and be looking at yourself in the mirror like, what happened? I started something because somebody told me to. That wasn't even my own decision. So it's like, you have to know that you got to do what you supposed to do in your life. Like, everybody else doing whatever they want to do, but if you have discernment and you know what's right, you going to move forward. You can't just keep doing the same old thing, because you're going to get the same old results.
That's funny. You said that you did it because friends or whatnot, and it's the same here, man. And if I can go be more transparent about it, at the time that my family trait is alcoholics as well.
Mm-hmm.
Uncles and aunties have passed away from alcoholism. So I know to stay away from it, or I know when I was drinking that there was a limit, you know what I mean? Like, I can't go no further. That's it. But when I was smoking or whatnot, at the time, a lot of my friends, they used to always tell me, this ain't even you. This ain't even you. But that
Yeah.
you will never get, you need to stop it. You know what I mean? Or
Yeah.
don't pass it to me. Or don't have it in front of me. You know what I mean? It was never none of that. It was always, this ain't even you. So I just had to figure it out for myself and figure out what was for me and what was for not me.
Yeah.
I noticed that and my dad, man, like I said, hats off to you. I'm gonna keep saying that tonight, man, because to be raising four boys, man, is just an amazing task,
Yeah.
amazing. Man. But
Yeah.
how do you find your personal peace though? Like, how do you find peace to just woosah for a minute, 'cause
Um,
like I said, each boy has a different personality. I know.
yeah, you definitely
Mm.
right.
So how do you like find that space where you could just
Sometimes you don't find that space, but I do know that for me, I mean, and everybody got to do it the way it works for them. But for me, it's waking up earlier than everybody, going to sleep a little later than everybody, because you need time to pray. You need time to think about the stuff that you got to put together. And, it's a whole lot that goes on with a single mom. You got to be here, there, and everywhere. I mean, just to summarize my day, I wake up at 5 in the morning, drop my kids off at 6:45, go to work, pick them up on my lunch break, go back to work, and then come back home. If they got homework, I gotta help with that. I gotta cook, I gotta clean, I gotta do everything that requires to be a parent. But at the same time, you gotta have a balance, because otherwise you're gonna be frustrated and you're gonna get bitter and you're gonna be mean to your kids, and it ain't even their fault, you know. So you gotta keep that in perspective when you doing it.
Yeah.
Like, it's not a chore, you know. Like, if you have a father that's helping you, great. But if you don't, you got to find a way to not be angry while doing it, because that
Yeah.
stuff spills over in your children and it make them feel like they a burden and they shouldn't be here. And then that's where the suicidal thoughts come, and the, you know, all the stuff that they go through, depression and standoffish, and they won't tell you what's wrong with them and stuff like that. So you got to keep a line of communication with your kids and tell them sometimes, here, I need your help today. Or, you know, you got to talk to them like that, because they understand. Kids know. Not
You know,
yelling at them, just talking to them.
I was listening to you, and it kind of was opening up my some childhood wounds of mine because, you know, um, my father was there, but he wasn't in the house, if that makes sense. And
Hmm.
you know, at a lot of point in my life when I was, you know, in my teenage years, I used to always ask that question to myself: Was I a mistake, or am I a mistake? Did he not want me? You know, was it just a one night stand with my mom, and now he's stuck with me? You know,
Yep.
I had to realize, you know, I had to find something that would keep my mind occupied, which became sports. You know, so and I say it all the time. Thank God for sports because you know those suicidal thoughts, you know, could have went through my mind, you know, and all that. So I
Yeah.
get it. I 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 get it. Trust me, I get it. But you know, I want to ask this question,
Hmm.
and you know, I want to ask this question as sensitive and delicate as I can, man. But you know, how your sons, man, how important is it for you to make sure that your son beat the odds? And when I say beat the odds, you know, prison, cemetery, you know, how important is it for your sons, all of them,
Well, first
to
of all, I have African American sons, so that's like, you know, a real trying time now, you know, so I have to talk to them about those precautions and stuff. But both of my kids' fathers are gangbangers, you know, and
mm,
I'm gonna be transparent. They both, in this lifetime I'm living now, they both was not worth me having children by. But I'm glad that I have my children because they are amazing babies. But
yeah,
you know, you make decisions when you're young and you don't really know people, you know. So my thing was, I didn't want them to be that way. My first son, his dad was killed before he turned two by the police in
mm,
California. So when that happened, that was like right after my dad passed away. So I was like a real hurt girl at that time. And I knew that I didn't want my kids to have to ever deal with that type of stuff. So I made the choice to move to Vegas and elevating my life in ways that I never probably thought that I could, you know. And I just kept telling myself all the time, like, I don't want no hood dudes, I don't want no sagging kids. And those are if you know that's what you don't want, don't have those images around your kids. I don't care if they're your brothers, your cousins, your dad, whoever. If you don't want your kid to be like
yeah,
that, everybody that you have playing a role in your kid's life, look
yeah,
at that person and see if you want your kids to determine their life like that. If you want to see your son as that person, then you allow that person to be around your kids. But if not, you can't have those. I don't care if it floats your boat. I don't care if it's a man that you like. Like, you have to have some stability around your children, or they just gonna go. Because some kids don't like that stuff. But what about the kids that do gravitate to those things? You know, you brought the devil in your own home. You
come
can't do
on,
that.
man.
You can't do
Yes.
that. Can't do it. You have to realize that some people you have to let go of when you raising kids. And when I moved here, I literally left all my friends. And I prayed before I came here. I prayed for God to remove every single person that did not belong in my life at that time. And I moved here. Only one person I stayed friends with, and that's still my best friend. Other than that, I had to change my whole entire program so that my kids can have the life that they have. So sometimes you gotta change everything about yourself.
I got a question for you on that because a lot of people probably had to go through that. Uh, was that hurtful though that you had to go through that when you had to lose a lot of close friends? You know, I know at the end of the day you're still gonna pick your babies over your friendship, but I'm saying like, was it hurtful for you to just say, you know what, I gotta close this thing?
I won't say it was hurtful because my kids saved my life. At that time when I made that decision, I was going down the wrong road and I had just became a mom, but you know, things happened at that time and it just it put me in a position to make a decision. And the decision that I had to make was I had got into a fight with a lady and she called CPS on me. Now, I didn't do anything and I wasn't a neglectful mom or nothing, but she just wanted to be spiteful and call CPS on me. So I never forget it. It was around Father's Day and I was going to take my son to put flowers on his dad grave and everything and I was at the laundromat. So I come back home and I see the CPS thing. Now, in my mind, till this day, I still recognize that God was holding me up then. Thank you, Father. Thank you, because I could have had my kids taken. I
Yeah.
could have had them literally taken away from me because when I stepped back in my house, I had liquor bottles, I had weed roaches, I had all this stuff going on in my house. Like they would have taken my babies, but the father, oh my God, glory to God right now because he saved that situation. And I was able to clean up all my stuff. And I talked to my mom. And at that time, they wanted me to drug test and all that. And I'm like, oh my God, what am I going to do? Because I have to do this drug test, but I know I've been smoking weed. So what's going to happen? My mom told me, you need to go in there, be honest with the people and tell them what really happened. So I did. They came, they looked at my house, they closed my case, and I never had those type of people around me again. But that was an eye opener. Like, girl, if you don't get your life together now, your kid's going to be in the system. And I never wanted that. So I changed my whole entire life.
My
Yeah.
God,
Changed
my
my
God.
whole entire program. And it was hard because you do certain things for a long time, you used to it. So to reverse some stuff that you used to, it take a lot of courage, it take a lot of being structured on yourself. You gotta stop going to those places, and we grown so we could do whatever we want. But I always tell my kids, even when you grown, you can't do everything you want to do. It's rules even in your life. So you just gotta want better.
My God, my God, my God.
Yeah.
You know what? I had a question for you though. You know, with all boys, are you instilling into them to have their personal, especially the older one, to have a personal relationship of his own with God?
All my kids know to have a personal relationship with God because they know I've been screaming it since day one that my life is not this way because of me. Everything that we have is because of the Father.
Come on now.
All the hard times that I've had, I recognize when God is blessing. My oldest son, he knows and he talks to me about God a lot. And so that's how I know he's working on his relationship too, because um a lot of things happen when you don't have a male involved. And for me, like, my brother-in-law will be the only person that could actually spit some knowledge to my kids because I don't trust everybody's words when they talking to my kids. And that's the only male figure I would say besides my brothers that they could actually gain some information from. That's the truth. But if you a woman and you don't have a male figure, you got to talk to your boys and teach them how to lean on God and teach them how to be masculine, but also show they love inside. So you have to teach your kids now because we live in a world where they make your kids believe that praising God and going to church and looking like a businessman is not normal. Like, you're weird. You've told to be put in a category because you're doing the right thing. So I tell them to stand alone. You trust God and learn how to pray when you in any situation because that's what got me where I'm at. That's who gives me the strength when I'm so tired and I can't get up and I don't want to go to work, or I'm sick and I still got to cook these kids food. That's where I get my strength from. Like, like I said, my kids tell you, I ain't never seen my mama pray like she praying now, but she prayed. He's like, I ain't never seen you walk through the house and anoint the walls and all that. I'm like, yes, yes. Hmm.
Hey,
I even for my kids, like we, like this summer, they always do their math and they reading and stuff like that. But I tried something different this time. I had them look up, like, because all y'all kids want to be on the internet and searching stuff that y'all ain't got no business searching. Search up Peter. Tell me 10 facts about Peter. Write down 10 facts about Matthew. Tell me about that. Read Proverbs so you can know about the foolishness and how your mind's supposed to work. Those are the things that you need to be teaching your kids. How to treat other people, how to be a good friend, because we all want good friends, but are you a good friend?
yeah, yeah, yeah. And you know what? Well, I'm pretty sure you do this, but how important would you say it is for parents to do that? I call it a just checking in on your kids. Just having a conversation, having like a powwow with them, checking on their mental, checking on just where they're at mentally in life right now. What mission they're on.
Right.
Like what topics they like. What school subjects they're interested in, what college they into. Like I have these conversations with my kids. They 11, but I had this conversation as soon as they graduated junior high. I was like, okay, what college are you looking at? Okay, let's go. We're gonna go ahead and go to some visits, and don't just pick a college just to pick a college because it's famous.
Right.
Pick a college that fits you. Whatever it is, whatever subject you are a great at, pick.
Hmm.
Even if it had to be, if a junior college is
Hmm.
the best, whatever department that you're interested in, go there.
Right.
Go there. So how important is it for you, or parents, to have these conversations? Because it from a kid standpoint, it's making a kid feel like, wow, they're interested in my life.
Yeah.
They really sitting down and talking to me about, what's the, each step they're with me. You know what I mean? So how important is that?
I think it's very important. It's harder to get your kids to talk to you the more you don't talk to them, because if you're like me, I talk to my kids. Some kids get mad and they parents try to leave them alone because, oh, he's having a bad day. I'm not that type of parent. You're not gonna have that type of day in my house. We gonna talk. I don't care if you mad because I told you no about something. We gonna talk. You're not gonna stay in your room like you're paying all the bills in here. Like, I'm gonna go in your room and plop up on your bed and see what you going through. I do phone checks and all that. Like, okay, y'all want to have y'all codes on the phone? Well, I'm breaking through the code. Type your code in so I can see what you're doing. All these hidden departments in the iPhone, I know about them. So you just have to set a platform for your kids, because a lot of us parents tell kids like, oh, you can talk to me about anything. I had to learn that the hard way though. Say that, but then when it comes to us, the first thing you do is get upset or yell or trip out. And you can't do that for everything, because then the next time they will come to you, they're not gonna feel comfortable talking to you about those things. But you do have to ask questions, because kids make mistakes, and if they don't know what they're doing, they gonna make the wrong turn thinking they grown. And that's these 17 through 25 kids that think they really grown but be making bad mistakes that we gotta fix. But it's
Yeah,
like, you gotta talk to each other. You got
yeah,
to get involved. I had to, like, my older two kids play sports. One of them is still in playing sports, and I just sent him back to college yesterday. And so it's hard, like, I have my brother by my mom, the older one. He played sports in school, but at that time me and my sister was trying to get our own lives off. And it wasn't until he came to one of my son games that I actually realized and had to look at him and tell him, I'm sorry, bro, that we didn't come to none of your games. Like, that means everything to these kids. Support them, and even if it's something you don't think they're gonna be good at, support them with their wins, they lost, all of that, because they be going through stuff that's mental. that's really bad for them, and they don't know how to deal with those emotions. And that's why kids be doing suicide, because they be handling things that we don't even pay attention to. Because what we doing, we on our phone, we smoking, we drinking, we talking on the phone to our friends, we worried about everything we got going on. But instead of worrying about their education, oh well, I sent them to school, he at school. Yeah, but do he know how to read on a 10th grade level? Do he know how to write a paragraph? Do he know what APA format is? It's I'm gonna tell you a story. My oldest son, he did a year of business in college. He never liked school. The only reason he actually put in 100% effort in high school is because he was playing football, and he know no grades, no football. So he played. So he did a year in business, and then he came to me and was like, "Mom, I don't really want college. I don't even want to play football no more." So I told him, "I never told you you had to go to college. You just got to be successful in doing whatever you do." So while he was in school, he had an APA format paper due, and he didn't have no idea what he was going to do. He looked at the directions in that packet, and he was like, "I'm not doing that. That's too much." And so me, as his mom, supportive me, I told him, "Nope, we going to the library. You're not gonna give up on yourself. We gonna go to the library and we gonna find something for you to do." He found a book on firefighting. He did the APA format paper I helped him with. He got a 96, and now he finna be a firefighter. So if I would have not supported him in that manner and let him just know I'm not doing it because he grown, he would have never found his passion. And now he's like one step away from actually being an EMT firefighter, at 21.
You know, first of all, you jumped ahead on my next question. I was gonna ask you.
I put it all in one.
I was gonna ask you, how does it feel to be a single mom and have a son getting ready to be a firefighter? But not only that, you went through the journey with him. You know what I mean? You went through the journey with him. How does that
Yes.
feel, man, as a single mom?
I just look at him and my other big son, and I just be like, all my yelling and screaming and telling y'all no, it worked.
Mm,
It worked, and I'm so proud of y'all, because it could have went any way. Boys, they gangbangers, they sell drugs, they go in and out of jail. It's just how you actually be involved with them. I used to tell they friends too, like, don't do nothing around my kids that I don't like, because I never see them again.
wow. Yeah. Yeah.
But I actually, had to thank all of their friends, because they had a good set of friends. And I was like, thank you for not steering my kids in the wrong direction. Thank you for being a good friend and staying positive in their life, because they needed that. And at one point, I thought I was a bad mom. And my oldest son had to tell me, he's like, "Mom, I could have been a gang, but if it wasn't for you, I would have." And
Wow.
that made me feel so proud, and just, it took my breath away, because when your kids come and tell you, "I could have been in them streets, but because you loved me right, I didn't." And that's everything. That's what I worked so hard for.
You know what? I'm trying to hold back tears, man, because you're talking about a lot of things that I went through, you know, and it just shows the strength of a woman, that you would sacrifice, your lifestyle, your independency as far as your social life, to just make sure that you develop some educational young scholars, kings, and that
Yeah.
is your number one priority. Because my mom also, she worked a lot, but my dad was, I guess you can say, the stay-home dad. He wasn't working, so he had no reason or no no kind of choice to just support me. But I played sports since I was 5 years old, and I played all the way until I was in college. And I
Oh,
can't count one day that I can look up in the stands and see my dad. You
yeah.
know, when you said that, it really hits a kid, man, to have that support or see that support. Doesn't necessarily have to be blood, man. Just see some kind of support,
Yeah.
role model. And I didn't have none of that, so To hear you, sacrifice so much of your life and so much of your time to make sure that these, are some young scholars and you're putting them out there in the world to be great, man, that's just commendable to you. It's just
Yeah.
commendable to you. You were talking about earlier about how you make sure that you surround yourself around some good people, and one of those good people that you're around is your sister, my sister as well. I met her, uh, missionary Tashonda Smith. Man, how important is it to have her as not only your sister but as a prayer warrior in this whole journey of developing these young kings?
My sister is like, I mean, I could say so many things about her because if it wasn't for her, I would not be where I am. And I know you shouldn't uplift people like that, but I'm gonna uplift my sister like that because I was a problem child. I was a problem child, and my sister made sure that I was on point. She made sure that I was on point by any means. Like, she came for me. She snatched me right up out of trouble. And for somebody to sacrifice their own life, like, she could have did, we 3 years apart. She left home early, so she could have just left me there and not cared. But my sister came back because it was times when I wanted to stop school. My sister came and got me. Like, what you need, I got you. Whatever you need. Now you ain't got no reason. And just, I remember when she first transitioned her life into going to church when we were younger, and she was trying to get me on that path too. And I said, God ain't coming for me right now. He's gonna come for me when He's ready. And so I always tease her about that because I'd be like, He ready now. He calling me now. He knocking on my door. Like, you knew He was coming, but we didn't know when. And so I say that to say that my sister is the praying warrior. We don't have a lot of people in our family that practice going to church and practice loving and spreading the word of God and all of that. And everything about her speaks God. And all the things that she teach my kids, they on her Sunday school on Sunday, sometimes when I'm not at work. But just the structure of being a big sister, she knows that assignment because she plays it well. And just everything, like my second son, he's not really a talkative person to everybody, but as soon as she came to my house for the first time, he was all over her. Like, this my auntie, like, I'm gonna call her for everything. But she's just a spiritual background we all need to have in this family because that's our motivation. That's who we go when we need things, because nobody praying for us like that. And that's why I knew I had to become a praying mom too, because she can't be the only one fighting for this family.
Yeah, yeah. And you know what? My apologies. I meant to say evangelist. She's just
Yes.
an evangelist to
Hmm.
some. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
sis. Shout out to her, man. You know
Love you,
what?
sister.
I want to ask this question. And before I ask the question, I need a moment because it homes with me as well because I've been through it. There was a time in my life where I had to deal with a divorce, deal with losing my mom at the same time, and still be a single father. Um, how have you been able to grieve? And my condolences to you. But how have you been able to grieve and still be there as a mother?
That's It's a process because I cry every day. I talk to her a lot on the phone, like most days. So to actually be around all your kids, they don't really know the significance of my hurt because I still have their mom. And of course, lost their grandma, but it's not like losing a mom. So I still have to put on a happy face. I still have to go through their problems with them and be strong for them. So most of the time I'm grieving on the way to work, on the way from work, in between time, because it's not something I can just sit there in. I still have to come back to my senses and be like, okay, get yourself together because you still have things to do. So you have to give yourself space to cry it out and think about what you need to think about, but at the same time you have to know that life is still happening. You can't lose your mind. You can't let these things that you go through, and when you lose people that you love, you can't just lose yourself. And that's what I'm learning, because part of you really want to scream and just say forget everything, but the other part, you can't do that. So you like battling with these feelings. You gotta pray. That's all I can say is you gotta pray your way through it. Cause it's gonna be some tough days, but we can all get through it if we use the right tools. I have a shirt from my church that says put on the full armor of God. And I love to wear that shirt because when you a kid, you don't really know what that means. But now I'm in a stage of my life where I know I have to put on my whole armor of God to
Yeah,
walk this walk.
yeah. Now you're in the field of healthcare, correct?
Yes.
How did you get into that? And since you've been in that, have there been some benefits that you apply to your personal life?
Um, I've been doing this 6 years. I work for an OBGYN, and a lot of stuff, because I'm in women's health, so I know a lot of things about my body. I can educate my kids about certain things. I can answer questions for my family that is encouraging and educating. It's a lot that I learned. It's a lot that I didn't even really know before. Things that we don't even think about.
I was sitting here thinking about how, I guess God, has, divine connections and divine timing for things in life, man. And we were talking about,
Yes.
yeah, you did, you wish you had a girl, you prayed for a girl or whatnot, but God knew exactly what to give you. Um, He's
Yes.
in a way to where you're showing all four of your boys what type of woman to look for as they grow up.
Yes.
The sacrifice that you do is the sacrifices they should look for when they're looking for, a soulmate. You're telling them, all the things that they need or should have. Don't settle.
Hmm.
I'm pretty sure you've had those conversations about not settling and, make sure you pick the right one or whatnot with your older ones and whatnot. But it's
Yes.
just commendable that, man, I mean, I'm just blown away that you raised four
Man.
amazing, amazing, man, amazing boy. And if I can, whenever I meet them, man, I definitely want you to know that, I'll also be a part of that, keeping them in line and
Yes.
good role model to them, just like Big
Yes.
Bro, Minister Anthony Smith, because that's what we need more of,
Definitely.
those that are, looking. But then at the same time, man, you got some. I'm gonna just be transparent. I'm not trying to bash my brothers, but sometimes, they want to get in the situation where they catch a woman vulnerable, and they just looking for the woman instead of the kids,
Yes. But
and
it's on the mom. It's on the mom to figure that out. Cause you gotta set the bar for them to know that. You can't just let anybody. Cause you're right. People like to date the mom, but don't want to have nothing to do with the kids. And I'm not for that. Cause my kids been through some trauma, with their own father, and we're not going there. It's a spot that you have to know you have to earn, and not saying like I'm just uh better than anybody, but it take a lot to come into a family and a woman with kids, especially sons. Like them little guys gonna be looking up to you. So what are you feeding into them? You know, like these ain't even your kids. So you definitely gotta be doing something worth it and not just trying to be around mama because that shouldn't matter first.
Yeah, yeah. Is it are your boys overprotective?
They are very overprotective. And let me tell you, my second son, the one that's in college right now, he's going to be a therapist and he's playing volleyball. He was the one. Even though he was a little old guy, I used to like thugs. And he would just be like, Mama, no, not him. No, we're not doing that. And he would tell me. So, my kids will come talk to me about those things. They know we have that platform to talk about stuff like that. And if it's something that's affecting my household, you shouldn't be doing it anyway. Because everything, parents need to realize everything that we do, it affects every kid that we have, even if they say something or not. Like it's affecting them, good or bad. But you got to figure out if it's a good thing or bad thing. Like it'll be a woman that has a job, and the man don't go to work, but he's sitting on her couch all day watching TV, and she got these 15-year-old boys, 13-year-old son, 11-year-olds. You think they ain't thinking about that? You got this man sitting on my couch you working hard, but he ain't doing nothing. You don't think your sons is losing respect for you every day for that? You got to realize that. But what we do, we think with our hearts and we think with our body parts, and you don't need to be thinking like that when you have kids.
I got a question. Single moms and single dad. Do you think it's more important for uh, the single mom and dad to have a social life once the kids are out of the house?
Once they're out the house.
Like,
Um,
do you think that it's? I guess you would say, is it the right thing to do to have or be interested in anyone while you're going through the journey that you're going through right now? Like, are you okay with? And I'm asking this question because you have other women out here that are single moms. I'm I want you to see it. Want you to help someone out tonight. Um, should you be focused on relationship right now, or should you be
it
focused?
depends on where you are in your parenting because, like, if you was in a mess with your kid's dad, you shouldn't be thinking about bringing nobody else around. Like, you got to iron out that stuff that's already there, because of course it's toxicity and trauma stuff that you need to iron out with your kids. So I don't think that your focus should be that anyway. Like, if it's meant for you, it'll happen, naturally, and it'll be something that just comes, not something you got to go out there to the club and look for. You got to be on the dating site every day like you so thirsty. You got to be talking to everybody trying to get yourself into some stuff. Like, no, you got to, like, I'm at the point in my life where I don't think like I thought when I was 20, so a lot of things that wasn't important then, they are important now. So you gotta really set boundaries because these men will take advantage of you. They would try to live with you, they would try to use you, and that's not what you want your kids to grow up and see. That's not teaching your daughters or your sons anything. It's actually degrading yourself and showing people that you have low self-esteem. If a man is gonna come in and do right by you and your children, you gonna know because he gonna put that first. A man that really wanna date you and care about your children, he gonna talk to you and he gonna make dates for you and your kids. He ain't gonna just wanna take you out. Oh, I'll pay for a daycare. I'll pay for a babysitter. No, you're gonna go out on a date that entails having kids functions. Like we're gonna go to the movie what your son want to see, or we gonna interact with the kids as well. You only want to date the mom, then you shouldn't even be dating a person with kids. You need to go date some single people that don't have children. Not involving yourself in a situation. How can you call yourself a man or a woman if you date somebody that have kids and you know they not handling their responsibilities right? That's insane.
I asked that question because, when I was going through my dating process, and and it's a difference when you're dating a girl and then when you're dating a grown woman, because grown women understand things more.
Yes.
I said this when I was in my dating process. I said that I wanted to be with someone that loved my kids more
Hmm.
than me. No one understood that because I was committed and still committed, that if I was going to be with somebody, I didn't mind being second to my kids as far as love.
Hmm.
So, and a lot of men probably don't think like that, but that's fine, But I just want to encourage men that are listening, if you are looking for a mate, you definitely want to be with someone that loves your kids more than they love you, you know.
Definitely.
So if I can help somebody out with that, definitely be second to your kids in any marriage, in any relationship.
For sure.
Okay with that, man. I was okay with that. You know what? I knew that this was gonna be a great show, man. I have been anticipating this for so long, man. I do apologize for
I'ma always get online with you.
and like I said, man, I am so a fan, man. I'm so a fan of what you're doing and how you're
Thank
doing. You're very inspirational to so many women, man. Keep on posting, this journey because trust me, it is helping, not only single mothers, but it's also teaching the younger generation of girls, of how to raise kings, So I wanted to say thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you
of course. Oh,
right to the side, man, and just blessing me and just continue to be a blessing to others. If you have any last encouraging words, you have the floor on a mother that just feels that it's just too much being a parent. You have the floor now if you've any type of inspiring words on that, because I know nowadays, there is, the way that our youth are right now, let's just be honest, they are out of control. But it seems that even in the midst of these kids being out of control, we still
hmm.
mothers that still setting boundaries. So if you have any inspiring or encouraging words for someone, you have the floor now. But I want to say thank you, thank you, thank you
For
for
sure. Of course. My last words would be to grab hold of the Lord and let God lead you through all of these storms. You go through them as things. You gonna get worried. You gonna have days you feel like you want to give up. You don't want to make it. So just give yourself grace and know that it ain't no book to this. Every day is a challenge. Every day is different, but it's also a day that you great. You don't have to dwell on your problems, which you don't have. Don't beat yourself up. Don't beat yourself up. Give yourself grace and know that you're gonna make it every day. Just get up and put both feet forward. And that's it. No matter what this day brings, pray, put God first, understand that is a priority. It's not a chore, it's not a job. It's something that you chose to do. It's something that you created. So you have to do what God wants you to do, take care of those kids. And sometimes that means being selfless, and you have to do what you gotta do. Don't let these men make you feel like you can't do it. Because I stayed with my kid's father for so long because I thought I couldn't make it. And you know what God told me? If I trust him, he gonna show me. I was just listening to DJs. If I just trust him, he gonna show me. And I'm doing this with one paycheck. I'm doing this with no man in my like that. I'm doing this every day, and it's because I have the strength of God, and I know that because I couldn't get here without it.
come
So
on.
if you want to be successful, you have to give the Father his respect, and you got to let him get the glory out of your life. Ain't nothing gonna happen for you if you don't do it the right way. You're gonna keep running in circles if you don't get it together. So give yourself some grace, but make sure that you make a decision to live properly because this is not a joke. It's not, and it's not for the weak. If you want to do it right, if you want to be a good parent, it's gonna take some setting up things to get there, and that means you can't go to the club, you can't go out with your friends, you can't pop bottles and smoke and be with the homies. You can't do all that. You
Come
gotta
on.
separate yourself from these worldly things. You gotta separate. And if you know that you can't do it, stay away from them people. If you don't want your kids to be thugs, don't have them around thugs. Period.
Yeah.
Whatever you want your kids to have an image of, put that in front. If you want them to be godly children, put that in front of them. If you want them to know about God, to know about the Bible, you better start quoting those scriptures because no one else is doing it. And I'm telling you, I know for a fact, you're not getting out of here the right way if you don't do those things. Period.
My God. You know what? Hey, let's uh, let's go on in this off. You mind praying? Cause this my goodness. Don't pray us
Okay.
out. You about to stir me
Okay.
up. Then the
Father
show.
God, I just pray for all the single women out there and single fathers that are doing their jobs that you put them in charge of. Lord, I ask that you touch them on the shoulder and just give them the strength that they need, give them the push that they need, give them the courage and the knowledge that they need, Lord. No matter what their situation is, the enemy has set us up to fail in certain things, but I know that you'll step in for these people and show them like you showed me. I ask that you lift them up in prayer. I ask that you give them the structure that they need in their homes, that you help them to fight through these tough times and to just give them a sense of love and care and motivation. For in your name, I pray that you guide us all to your righteous will. In your name, I pray, amen.
Amen. Amen. Listen,
Amen.
man. Mr. Randy, that got me,
Yes.
man. Don't you? Again, I want to thank you again for coming on, man.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
We definitely gonna do a part two, but I definitely want to let you know that I am truly
Thank you so much.
what you're doing, man, and keep on keeping on. God is telling me, and I'm being honest with you right now. God is telling me that when this is all said and done, when the last of the Mohegans have graduated and started their career, that you definitely need to write a book about your journey of a single mom raising four kings.
All right. And I'm already working on the book too. But yes, I started typing it a couple months ago.
I just throw it out there, man. I just throw it out there, so I throw it out there like a
Yes.
frisbee, and I just throw it out there, man. I just throw it out there. I'm just being obedient. So I'm telling you, you're gonna touch the masses when it comes to how to raise kings, because like I
Yeah.
said, there's a stigma out there that women can't raise boys.
Yes. I cry for this world with
Yeah,
parenting nowadays. I really do. I wish I could touch every soul out here that has. We got to do it as a community. We have to be better, or we're gonna lose our baby to social and all this new stuff because this new stuff ain't good. It's not. The new snacks, the new food, the new everything is not.
and like I said, every time I hear about women can't raise boys, I'm a product of it.
Yeah.
So it's like, how can we say that? And my dad was nowhere to be found.
Right.
Mom did all this to the best
Hmm.
ability.
Yes.
And I think I panned out well. I think I panned out well. So I
Yeah.
haven't been in prison. So I think I panned out well. But definitely, you're definitely inspiring, and like I said, keep on posting the journey, because
Thank.
not only me is watching, but trust me, there are some people watching, and the people that are watching is telling somebody else. and telling somebody else, because I'm definitely sharing the stuff that you're putting on, because it is definitely an instrument of a woman's strength.
Hmm.
So
Yeah. I just want to us single parents to not silence, because a lot of times we're built to have tough shells and we don't ask for help. And I had to learn that on this journey. It's okay to ask for help. It doesn't mean that you're doing less than you are. You need help. Person is able, allow them to help you, because being strong all the time is not going to help you in the long run. So if you have some people that's helping, allow.
well, again, I do
I'm not
appreciate.
saying get help from everybody.
Yeah, yeah,
Yes.
yeah. That's the key. That's the key.
Yeah.
Stop sharing thing with everybody. Everybody listen. I said it before. You gotta understand the difference between friends and associates. And in
Yes.
this faith, you gotta understand the difference between servants and serpents.
Exactly. Yes.
After the show, if you don't mind, there's a lot of comments. Please respond to them, man. And like again, I'm just thrilled to have you on tonight, man. And you be
Thank
blessed
you
now.
so much. You as well.
All right,
All right. Have a good night.
you too.
All right. Bye bye.
Man, that was great, man. That was great. That was great. Uh, great show, man. Great show. Great show. Great show, man. Product of the strength of a woman, man. Product of the strength of a woman. Shout out to my special guest tonight, uh, Miss Rachel, for blessing me as well as the family members tonight. Man, product of the strength of a woman, man. What can I say? Uh, until next time, family. God bless.